the Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Pressbox Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. Welcome to the Philly Pressbox Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, Cavs, Philly, Tailgates, and the Edge of Philly Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chet Chesko. And hey, Chet, the Phillies continue to stink. Let's just get that out there now. We'll talk some more about it. They're losing already tonight, and they're 7-16 since the All-Star break. But it's football season, and we like that. The Eagles prep for their second preseason game against the Patriots tomorrow night. The U.S. won gold in Olympic basketball with your man, Joel Embiid, being a big part of that success. Speaking of the Olympics, there were a bunch of Philly locals winning medals in Paris. It was fun to watch. We have plenty to talk about in Philly sports.
Yeah, the Olympics are now in the rearview mirror. Unfortunately, that's also the case regarding the Phillies being the best team in baseball. They are nowhere near that. That ship has clearly sailed. Now they're just trying to prevent it from sinking totally. Maybe we can help solve their problems. We'll get to that in the second half of the show, but we're going to talk football first, Bill.
We are. We always love August because we know we're getting ready to be kicking it off soon, and we have a great guest making a return visit to Philly Pressbox Radio tonight. Paul Domowitch from the 33rd team to talk all things Eagles and NFL football.
Yeah, can't wait to get Damo's take on the 2024 Birds after that disastrous end to last season. So let's get it going, Bill.
Let's do it. Let's welcome Paul Domowitch back to Philly Pressbox Radio. Damo, welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, Paul, not sure how often you've been to training camp this summer, but the reports are that Jalen Hurts has looked real good. He's moving around quite well. He's been very accurate with his throws. Is that the case?
Yeah, I mean, I'm secondhand. I haven't been out there, but, everything I hear is that he's having a terrific camp. Hasn't thrown an interception in any team drills yet, which clearly, cutting down on the turnovers is going to be a top priority for him this year. So, yeah, I mean, he looks slimmed down, faster, sleeker. I don't know if that means that they're going to take advantage of his running skills even more this year or not, but he does look better. And is, just in, what I've heard at camp, his decision making is better. Kellen Moore's got him throwing the ball, getting the ball out quicker. But we'll see. I mean, everything's conjecture until we get to week one.
Well, Paul, as Chet mentioned in the opening, the disastrous end of last season created a whole bunch of changes in that coaching staff. A lot more experienced guys. You mentioned Kellen Moore. How do you like, at least on paper, the guys they brought in versus the guys they let go? Were they just too young in the coordinator position last year?
I don't think so. At least, Brian Johnson, I had great respect for. I think he's going to be a terrific head coach someday. I just thought last year their problem offensively was kind of a bit of arrogance on Nick Sirianni's part coming out of that Super Bowl season. He thought they could do it all again. Same offense. He didn't seem to understand that the defensive coordinators were going to spend the offseason analyzing those guys, breaking them down, finding the weaknesses. And then they found quite a few. I mean, even in that 10-1 start, they did a lot of good things offensively, but you could see there were times, they struggled with the blitz. And that became a big factor in their collapse at the end. I mean, they just could not handle the blitz. So, I thought that was a bigger part of it than the fact that Brian Johnson just wasn't ready to be a coordinator. Defensively, that was just a mess with their coordinators, especially when they fired the first guy and put Matt Patricia in charge. I mean, that was, that would have gotten me fired if I had been Nick Sirianni. and made that decision. Although, who knows, maybe Howie had something to do with it. I don't know. But, I think they're in good shape this year, though, regardless. I mean, Vic Fangio is one of the best defensive coordinators in football, and he's from the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton area, so you can't go wrong. And Kellen Moore, he's going to bring some versatility to that offense, motion. I think we're going to see, we saw even in the joint practices yesterday with New England, they were playing some two-back personnel packages. He's just going to mix it up a little bit more than they did last year offensively with the personnel packages and motion, which is going to it's not going to make that offense as easy to read.
Well, as you mentioned, the Eagles are up in New England this week, joint practices ahead of the Thursday night preseason game. Are we going to see any of the starters on offense in the game, or is it going to be a no again this week, just like last week?
Yeah, I don't know, Chet. My guess would be a no, only because they used the joint practice yesterday as kind of that was the true experience for the starters. They played a lot. So I would think not. Maybe a series, but I doubt it. I think he'll keep the starters on the bench again.
Well, you mentioned Kellen Moore, and of course we have to talk about Saquon Barkley becoming an Eagle. Kellen Moore was pretty successful with Ezekiel Elliott in Dallas. Used the crap out of him, I would say. But do you see the workload of Saquon Barkley being pretty great in this offense? There's so many weapons.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to work him to death. Because he signed a 3-year deal that is going to keep him here for at least 2 years, and they don't. So they don't want to use him up in 1 year. I think they'll. He's obviously going to be their main ball carrier. They're going to use him a lot in the passing game, but they've got 2 other terrific backs. Kenny Gainwell and the rookie that they drafted in the 4th round from Clemson. So. I think they're going to rotate those guys. They're all similar. Saquon's a little bit more powerful a runner than those 2. And so, behind this line, I think we're going to see what, Saquon's capable of. And I think it's quite a bit. I just don't think they're going to, they're not going to overwork him. I don't think we're going to be looking at 25 carries a game kind of workload. They're going to, like I said, I think, one of the reasons they went out and got him, I don't think was as much because of what he can do as a runner, but what he could, they see him, they need to use their running backs in the passing game this year, make them a bigger weapon and give Jalen some options besides the 2 guys that he's got focused on last year, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I think they need to use Goddard a little bit more, especially on 3rd down. And like I said, those running backs are going to be keys in the passing game this year.
Well, Paul, you mentioned the O-line. Jason Kelsey, of course, retired. Lane Johnson's another year older. There's a new guard. Can we still count on the O-line being one of the best in the league?
Well, you can at least going into week 1, Chet. I'm concerned. I mean, Lane Johnson's still at the top of his game, but when you're 34, 35 years old, injuries are going to be a factor. And so I don't know if he can play 17 games. I don't know if he can play 14. We'll see. I hope he can because he's still, he's a Hall of Fame player. As far as, they're going to miss Jason. There's no question. I think Cam Jurgens is going to do a nice job at center, moving over from guard. Question is the people that are battling right now to replace him at right guard, Mekhi Becton and Tyler Steen. One of them is going to win that battle. It looks like right now Becton, who I would have never guessed would end up as their season opening starting right guard. I'm not a big believer in 6'7" interior linemen, but hey, I'm also a big believer that Jeff Stoutland can always figure out a solution to a problem. So I think that line's going to be, as long as it stays healthy, it's going to be pretty good. Howie went out and got some depth, because he knows what can happen with injuries. An offensive line that you thought could take you to a championship, can suddenly be, nothing. So they've got some depth. I think they'll be fine up there right now.
Over on the defensive side, obviously, that's a big concern to every Eagles fan after what we saw last year. Fletcher Cox is gone. The young kid, Georgia kids, are going to be starters. They're going to play a lot more reps. How do you see it lining up, and how do you like the new linebackers? You think there's actually some value there?
Yeah, I mean, I like Devin White. I know a lot of people were down on him. He was a Pro Bowl player a few years ago, and then it kind of got away from him. He's can be undisciplined sometimes. Hasn't been much of a got benched late last season by Tampa Bay. So, but I think he's going to be a good player in Fangio's defense. Nakobe Dean's been getting some criticism. I still like him if he can stay healthy. And they've got some depth there now. Oren Burks, Zach Bond, who I thought was going to be basically an edge rusher, now could end up right now looks like the second inside starting linebacker with White if they don't want to start Dean. So, and then I love the heck out of Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I just don't know that he's ready to be I think what he's going to do mainly as a rookie is contribute on special teams, but I think he's got a great future ahead of him. I watched him play a lot at Clemson, and I think he's going to be a terrific player eventually. So
tell me more about Jeremiah. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. fell to the 5th round, which surprised a lot of people. He was one of the few standouts in that thrilling preseason game last week down in Baltimore. So what do you like about Trotter Jr.?
Well, he's a smart player. He doesn't have the big size that Jeremiah his dad did, but no linebackers in the NFL have that anymore. He's a great downhill player. Just reads holes real well. Good tackler, good blitzer. If there's the question they need answered is whether he can cover at this level. That's why I think mainly, he fell to the 5th round. So, but I just like, I like everything he does and has done. I mean, he got a chance to play last week and showed up. I mean, he flashed. So we'll see how it goes going forward, but I like his promise.
And along with that, how about the other rookie on defense, Quinyon Mitchell? He's done a lot of talking, and sounds like the offensive guys seem to like playing against him. What do you see out of him so far?
Yeah, I mean, he's not intimidated at all by the NFL. Loves going up against A.J. Brown in practice. He's aggressive. He seems to be able to read routes real well. We saw that last week when he almost intercepted that pass. In fact, he should have intercepted it. Went right out off his chest. Excuse me. But, the question with him right now is where is he going to be playing? They've been, because of the fact that, Cooper DeJean has been out. They've got problems at safety that have forced Devontae Maddox to play at safety. They're kind of in right now, he's mainly, I mean, you want a 1st round pick to be your outside corner, not your nickel guy. But that's right now, he could be slotted at nickel if this, where they are now. But, we'll have to see what happens. I mean, if Avonte Maddox isn't needed at safety, which still is a big question mark, he'd be your starting slot guy, and that would allow Mitchell to move outside. But, they seem happy right now with Isaiah Rodgers outside. So I don't know. There's another guy that nobody ever talks about that I thought was going to end up being, competing for that slot job, and that was Tyler Hall, the guy they signed away from the Raiders. And, you hardly ever hear his name. I don't even know how many snaps he's getting in camp. But, they've got more depth than they had last year at cornerback, so that's a good thing. No matter where those guys play, I'm really anxious to see what Cooper DeJean can do once he's completely healthy. It looks like he started, with individual drills the other day, so it's just a matter of time before we get to see him in 11-on-11 stuff.
Paul, are you as surprised as I am that James Bradbury is still in the picture?
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. They don't want to. I guess they don't want to just cut him. They're hoping to get something for him, but I guess they figure some team might be desperate enough at some point here if they lose a corner, lose a safety, that they'd be interested in trading away a 6th-round pick for him. I don't know. I'm kind of mystified by why he's still here.
Hey, Paul, we had a week now where we could see the new kickoff rules in play for the first preseason game. Initial thoughts, and what does that do to your strategy?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it, Bill. It just looks bad. It looks awkward. Nobody knows how it works. It's not making much of a difference so far. I haven't seen anybody run it back further than they were running it back under the old system. I understand everything about the kickoff return rule has been about preventing injuries, including this new setup. But just make them wear the padded helmets that are becoming very fashionable these days in training camp. That'll cut down on concussions. I don't know why they don't wear them league wide. I guess you're going to be able to see teams and players wear them, once the season opens. They probably won't because they don't like to, they don't like the way it sounds when you hit a guy with a soft cushion on your helmet. But yeah, I'm just not a big fan of this, guys. I'll be, it may increase. It's going to increase returns, but it's not increasing big returns. So I don't know. And I think eventually here we're going to see teams just settle. Because of the fact that the touchback now is the 30-yard line, you're just going to see teams settle for that because starting a drive at the 30 is kind of nice. So,
yeah. Hey, well, we are just about 3 weeks away, 3 weeks from Friday from the start of the regular season. Yeah. The Eagles and Packers getting it going down in Brazil. How do you like that starting the season? You're losing a home game. You're playing in a foreign land. That's kind of a tough deal for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, losing the home game is critical, especially when you're playing it in Brazil. It's nice for fans that are going to go down there, I guess. But from the team standpoint, there's no benefits. I can't believe Jeffrey Lurie was in favor of this. Every game's going to count this year, as far as you're going to need every win when you look at their schedule. The middle of it, you got a 7-game stretch where they play 5 road games, and now you're giving away a home game to play Green Bay in Brazil. So I don't, if I were them, I wouldn't like it at all.
Do you know, is there any magic to how these teams were selected? Did they volunteer, or is there some selection process? How's that work?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Bill. For a long time, the Eagles managed to dodge the European games in London. That kind of at the time told me that Jeffrey did not want to play over there. Jacksonville obviously got stuck playing there, and now it's their second home in London. But they basically just rotated after that. And I don't know, maybe this is like the Eagles' penance for all those years of not having to play in London or Munich or Dusseldorf or wherever the heck they've been playing besides London. So I don't know, but like I said, I cannot imagine that you'd ever get, if you gave Jeffrey a lie detector, that you'd ever get him to say this is, he's really in favor of going down there in week 1, no less.
We talked about Jalen Hurts earlier. A huge season for him is, he's going to be in the spotlight. He was a near MVP 2 years ago, had the slide last year, not nearly as good. So all eyes will be on him, but who's gonna be the backup? I'm hearing Tanner McKee could sneak in and take the backup job away from Kenny Pickett. What's your take on that?
Boy, I'd be very shocked to see that happen. I mean, given what they traded away for Kenny Pickett, given the fact that Kenny Pickett's got, 24 games of starting experience, I don't think there's any question that it'll end up being Pickett as the backup.
Yeah, the other guy that I really like is A.J. Brown. Is it time for, well, I guess every year has been a great year for him, probably. Is it time for a really breakout year? Is it time for the 1,800-yard season and a whole pile of touchdowns?
I don't know how that's going to work this year, Bill. They've got so many weapons. Jalen's got so many guys to throw to. I thought the biggest problem last year, besides their problems handling the blitz down the stretch there when they lost 6 of 7, including the playoff game to Tampa Bay, was that he became too focused on AJ and Devontae Smith, especially on the deep ball. Teams basically dared him to throw it, and he did. I think this year in Kellen Moore's offense, you're going to see a better distribution plan. Like I said, I think you're going to see more balls to Goddard. I think you're going to see a lot of, Grant Calcaterra. Don't count him out as, we don't know how much they're going to use 2 tight ends, 2 running backs. Last year with Nick, it kind of became we're going to play 3 wides and you try to stop us, and teams did. I think this year we're going to see much more of a mixture of personnel packages. They'll put Gainwell and Saquon out there in a 2-back package, and then split one of them out wide. I mean, we've been seeing in practice and even in the joint practice yesterday what Saquon can do as a receiver, running wheel routes and things like that. He's been beating linebackers and safeties. So I think we're going to see a better distribution. So I think that probably lessens the chances of AJ Brown having a record-breaking year. I mean, he's going to have 1,000 receiving yards. He's probably going to have 90 catches. I just think, you're going to see it. The ball, it's going to be kind of, what they give you. Nobody ever likes that line when a coach talks about, what they give us is what we're going to take. Well, I think that's what you're going to see from this offense this year.
I know we're still 23 days away from the start of the regular season, but I'm going to ask you for a prediction anyway. The Cowboys had a pretty lackluster or bad offseason. Still don't know what's going to happen with CeeDee Lamb. The Giants are a mess. Washington may have gotten a little better. The Eagles look like they should win the East. What's your prediction? How many wins?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll win the East, Chet. If I had to guess right now, I mean, I think 11-6 is what they're going to end up at. Like I said earlier, they face a challenging middle of the schedule area there where they play 5 out of 7 on the road and starting in mid-October. A lot of those games are not going to be easy. I mean, we're talking Cincinnati on the road, Cowboys on the road, the Rams on the road, the Ravens on the road. So I would not be surprised to see them lose 3 of those 5 road games. And then you got to figure they're going to lose a couple more somewhere along the line. 11-6 is going to get them the division and probably keep them in contention for the number 1 seed. So that'd be my guess right now if I had to pick a record.
There you go. Well, hey, Damo, we're about out of time. Before we go, let the viewers know where they can follow you on all your social medias and things you got going on.
Well, I'm kind of quiet right now, Bill. I took a leave of absence from the 33rd team. I'm working on a book on Sam Mills, so that's going to take me through the season this year. So, they can read me. They can catch me on Twitter. I got a radio show that I do with Paul Jolovitz up in Conshohocken on Monday nights during the season at the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. So anybody's love to see anybody come up there. We have a lot of terrific guests, and so that's mainly what I'm going to be doing this season.
Well, Sam Mills will be a great story. That's cool. I'm glad you're doing that. There's a great story there to be had, and a lot of people don't know much about it. Yeah,
he's an incredible story. I mean, a 5'9" linebacker that nobody gave a shot to. No Division I offers, cut by the Browns and the CFL. The USFL gives him a life raft, and the rest is history. I mean, he becomes a Hall of Fame player with the New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers.
Awesome.
Keep us posted on that for sure. Hey, I want to sneak in one more question, Damo. Nick
Sure.
Foles retired last week. I know you commented on that. You covered his career, of course. He's already got the statue outside the stadium, but now some people think the Eagles should retire his number 9. I don't think so. What do you say?
Yeah, that's a stretch, Chet. I mean, I think they should put him in the NFL, the Eagles Hall of Fame. I don't think that's a question of what he's meant to that team with the with the Super Bowl and, the start to his career when he led the league in passer rating. But no, I would not retire his uniform. They haven't retired Jaworski's. They haven't retired a lot of guys. That'd be a little bit too much.
Yep.
I agree too. How about that?
There you go.
Damo, appreciate you joining us. Let's do it again. And when that book gets rolling, jump on anytime and talk to us. Tell us about it.
I appreciate that, guys. You take care. Have a good night.
All right.
Thanks, Paul.
All
hey,
right.
Bill, I want to mention something. As I said, we are now just 23 days till the Eagles' regular season opener. So that being the case, I think it's only fair that we put up a picture of this Eagles legend and now an executive with the NFL, Troy Vincent. How about that?
There you go. Good call.
And
hey,
you know what? Speaking of Philly sports legends.
I thought you were going to say that the Phillies have given up 23 runs tonight. But never mind. I digress.
I haven't checked. Don't tempt me. They may have. Speaking of Philly sports legends, though, a very happy 75th birthday a day late to Flyers legend Robert Earl Clark, Bobby Clark, one of the four faces on the Mount Rushmore of Philly sports greats. And look at that face. So, we loved watching him play. Happy 75th to old number 16.
Hey, and speaking of odds and ends, I meant to ask Damo this. I made a note and didn't do it. Did I see that JJ McCarthy got hurt today and is out for the season for the Vikings? I did see that. I don't know that it's true, but I did see that, and I meant to ask Damo if he knew about that, and slipped my mind. I have it right here in my notes.
Nope, don't know.
All right. Hey, let's give out a shout to all the shows at the Edge of Philly Sports Network this week. As always, we are jam-packed. You can catch all the action on www.eopsports.com as well as Edge of Philly Sports on YouTube. You can also find our show on the Philly Pressbox Radio YouTube channel. Help us out. Hit those subscribe, follow, and like buttons. And as always, share with your family and friends. As you can see, it's all day, every day. We got it going on, starting with Trending in the AM at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. Phil Stifle doing a great job with that and picking up a lot of viewership. Good for Phil. Don't forget, subscribe to the Edge of Philly Sports Weekly newsletter. Sign up for free. You'll receive the EOP weekly review in your email every Friday morning. Chet.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on at the Irish Rover Station House as we are in the dog days of summer?
Well, Bill, the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, Pennsylvania has Quizzo every Wednesday evening. That's always fun. There are great dinner specials Thursday through Sunday. Oh, New York strip steak or a fried seafood basket this week. Plus Thursday also means killer burgers. The staff burger wars are continuing. And that reminds me, Bill, I was actually there last Thursday, and what do you know? I even took a couple of pictures. How about that? I really enjoyed the Jill's Krusty Burger and my beer, a Yard's Blueberry Crush. Both excellent, but I digress. Of course, the Irish Rover Station House has happy hour specials and always 24 beers on tap. The Irish Rover Station House is on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. You can check the website, irishroverstationhouse.com. And where's my man, Ray Diddy? Come on, Ray. There you go.
Hi, this is Ray Dinger, and it is always fun to talk sports with these two guys, Bill and Chet, on Philly Pressbox Radio.
Hey, here you go. Chet from Dave Yarnell. JJ tore meniscus, had surgery, out for the season. That's not good when that was the guy you got rid of Kirk Cousins for, and he was going to be your guy, and at least he did it early. If that's a good thing or not.
For them. You hate to see, somebody that is being counted on out for the season like that.
Oh, I hate to see injuries. Anyway, Philly.
We got a lot of people watching us tonight, Bill. Look at this. They're all saying hello.
Eagles Vikings next week, actually, in the final preseason game.
That's right. That's the one at the link, correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Hey, Chet, the Phils are losing 3-1, according to the guys that chimed in on that. They flat out stink, pal. They can't hit. They can't pitch. They can't pitch out of bullpen. 7-16 since the All-Star break. Not a good baseball team, and somehow still have a 6-game lead over the Braves, 8 games over the Mets. and they're losing tonight again.
Well, let's check out the standings. Joe Howe saying, "Do it." Welcome back, Paul. Yeah, Domo was a good guest. I got to be honest.
Oh yeah.
Let's lose that comment, Bill. Where is it?
I didn't put it up there, did I?
There we go. Get out of there. Okay. Yeah, we look at the standings. Starting play tonight, the Phillies still have a 6-game lead. Look at those top 3 teams. The Phillies 4-6 over the last 10. The Braves 3-7. The Mets 3-7. That's why they still have that decent lead at this point. But you know what, Bill? I'm going to give you some more numbers. So check this out. The Phillies have lost 4 straight games, 11 of their last 15, 16 of 23 since the All-Star break, 18 of 26. They've lost 7 of their last 8 series over the last 55 games, during which they're just 24-31. Starting pitchers' ERA is 4.60. How much of that is Rob Thomson's fault? We're going to get into that whole hot seat issue in just a minute, but they did change the lineup a smidge tonight. Trey Turner not in there. Sosa is. Castellanos moved up to second. But this is a concern. I mean, this is more than a slump. When you're talking about a third of the season, 55 games, that's not a slump. That's a major slide and a near crash. I mean, the good news is they have more than a month to figure it out. The other good news, they are still 6 games up in the division, but they've fallen behind the Dodgers now by a game and a half. And both the Brewers, who lead the Central, and the D-backs, who are second in the West, are moving very close to the Phillies, just 2 or 3 games back. So I'm a little concerned, Bill.
Yeah, and I am the last one to blame the coach and the manager. It's just not the way I think it goes. But the players aren't playing.
Yeah.
And that falls on the manager, coach, whether deservingly or not. You're not going to get rid of the players. So they're losing again tonight. Didn't know that when we wrote this today. To the 24.5 games out of first place Marlins. They have a 4-game set with the Nationals, 4-game set with the Nationals, who are 14.5 out. And that's why I made the comment today that if by Sunday they don't win some games, Rob Thomson's in trouble, because they go to the Braves for 3, to the Royals for 3, then they play the Astros, and then 4 more with the Braves, all winning teams. So by September 1st, you've got another 3, 6, 9, 13 games after this week. It's not a good place for this team to be, because they can't beat anybody at this point. The only team with a worse record than them in all of baseball is the Chicago White Sox, who are just horrible. I don't know that everybody's, well, it's a panic. It's a panic. No, it's a bad baseball team.
It certainly has been lately. You mentioned the schedule. The Braves, certainly think they can maybe sneak up and catch the Phillies now that they're only 6 back. And, even though they're not playing great, the Phillies have been just dreadful. And the Royals, who are also on the schedule, they are right now clinging to the final wild card spot in the American League. So they're
like 10 games over 500 themselves.
And what really sucks, it's the whole lineup, Bill. I mean, Schwarber has been okay lately. Castellanos is pretty good lately. He's up over 260. Schwarber had been. So they're both hitting okay, but Harper's been very inconsistent. Stott's had a bad year. JT's been very bad ever since coming back from his little issue. Bohm has been inconsistent lately. And you know what really pisses me off is they're still not given 100% a lot of the time. We see Trey Turner, who could have avoided a double play the other day, didn't run hard. Turner had a bad error last night, an easy one. Bohm looked just disinterested in the final inning of last night's game, running to first base. So some of that is on Topper. He's got to get these guys playing harder. I mean, and that's Bryce Harper's been known for that frequently, not running to first hard. You don't know if the guy's going to drop the ball or bobble the ball. He hits that one deep into the left field corner that was almost a home run the other day. he basically stood and watched it for the first 5 seconds, and then the guy did catch it right in the corner. But had that dropped, he might have been held to a single because he stood and watched it. I'm tired of that kind of stuff, Bill. How hard is it to run hard to first base and second base? You only bat 4 or 5 times a game. That stuff pisses me off.
Well, and you're right. I mean, you're 100% right. And here's the thing with me, Chet, is you lose 5-4. Jeff Hoffman comes up and gives a ninth inning home run. Matt Strom gives up a home run. They lose. That happens. That's the game. That happens. Being non-competitive. The last 2 games in Arizona, last night, maybe tonight, being non-competitive is what is the unacceptable part. And, like I say, if you're battling and your guy gets beat by a long ball or a double, or that happens because your guys are trying to do the same thing too. That doesn't bug me. What bugs me is not being competitive and not hustling like the things you're talking about. You're 100% on with that. And everybody said what a jerk Jonathan Papelbon was for punching Harper, having a go. That was when Harper was a kid, and he said, and that was what that was about. Not playing the game right. And here we are. Harper's supposed to be the leader, and it's not, apparently it's not happening. And you can't fire the players, but you got to have a change. And you can't, you're seeing it. I'm seeing it. All the fans are seeing it. And that's not a good sign for Rob Thomson. One other thing to follow up on your numbers that you went through.
Yeah.
Our buddies at Edge of Philly Sports yesterday. This is 1 day old because it didn't include last night's game. Do you realize that since the All-Star break, the slash lines, Bohm is number 1, hitting 307. 2 is Castellanos at 300. 3 is Schwarber at 288. 4 is Rojas at 281, and then Hayes in his limited action. But then is where it gets really interesting in no particular order. Turner 179, Harper 207, Real Muto 193, Marsh 149, and Stott 222. That's what, 6 guys, 5-6 guys. But you got to have swinging the bats, and they're not doing it.
Yeah, now Rob Thomson can't really help with that, but they do have certainly a hitting coach in Kevin Long. He's got to work with them as best he can. And as for Thomson, he is the manager. He does bear a chunk of the responsibility. Like you, I said this 6-game homestand was huge, and they really had to win at least 4 of the 6. I wasn't saying just to keep Topper's job. I was just saying because to show that they can snap out of this funk. Well, now it would be 4 out of 5. They're losing tonight. They lose tonight, they'd have to win 4 straight just to get back to 4-2 on this homestand before going on the road. But you know what? Even if they go 1-5 or 2-4 over these 6 games, I just don't think that Dombrowski and company would pull the plug on Topper yet. Now, if it were to continue for another week or 2, well, then we may have to reassess.
Well, what are you waiting for? I mean, if they can't beat the Marlins and the Nationals, then what are you waiting for? Because by September 1st, if you play those, whatever we said, 13 games between now and September 1st, and you don't win 10 of them, 8 of them, 10 of them, you're going to be looking at on the outside looking in because you're playing the Braves 7 of them times. And, you can't use injuries as an excuse. If anybody was going to do that, it'd be the Braves.
Yeah.
Using injuries. This team is just not playing good. They don't run the bases well. They don't play good defense. Those fundamental things go back on the manager and the coaching staff. And it's intolerable, and people say it's a panic. It's not a panic. It's bad. It's bad baseball.
We talked earlier about this month about the fact that they were on pace for 117 or 118 wins once. Then it was down to around 100. Right now it's a little below 100, and they would have to play 500 ball just to get to 89.5 wins. And they're not playing 500 ball lately. They're, as we said, under 500 over the last 55 games. And I'm not just bringing that up because took the over bet over 90 wins and want to win some money. But yeah, I am concerned about that. But you can't go into the postseason like that. And I think they're still going to be in the postseason, but I don't want to see them as a 4th or a 5th or 6th seed. Certainly, ideally, you want to be 1st or 2nd. And right now, I'm highly doubting that that's going to happen.
Well, I've said all along that I want there to be meaningful September games.
Yeah, well,
because
we're going to have that.
I think you need that.
Yep.
But you can't stumble into September to get there playing, whatever 35% winning baseball. That's just not going to get it done.
I'm concerned about the pitching, not just the hitting and the defense and everything. Yeah. I mean, the pitching was so great earlier in the year. They had all the all-stars, everybody looking like a potential Cy Young candidate. But, Zach Wheeler has been pretty good, but he's thrown up a stinker or two here and there. Aaron Nola seems to have one of those bad 4-run innings almost every time out. I think they've lost his last 5 starts. Ranger Suarez, they hope to get back next week, but he was mostly awful the last 7 starts that he had, an ERA up around 6 or 6.5. So the pitching's a concern. The bullpen we know about. Hoffman has not been great lately. Alvarado has stunk since the beginning of July. A lot of the other guys have been inconsistent. The new guy, Estevez, has only gotten 1 save because he hasn't gotten many opportunities for a save. Right. So we don't know what we're going to get from him. I'm scared, Bill. I'm a little worried here.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I think it's I'm not much to raising red flags, but I think the flag needs to be raised. One other comment, too. I always think about this at trade deadlines. You start tweaking the team. When they got rid of Whit Merrifield, I mean, he didn't deserve to stay.
Right.
Or did he? or did he? Was there something else about the camaraderie? Was there something about the team? Was there, and now all of a sudden you're pulling all these guys around. Pache's gone. Relievers are gone. New pieces coming in. Do you still have that cohesiveness of the team that we saw early in the year playing their tails off and all the shimmying it? We ain't shimmying no more.
Not much shimmying lately.
No, there's a lot for team chemistry, and when you start messing around with it at trade deadlines, if you don't get the right combination, and all of a sudden, and you start losing some games, now all of a sudden the chemistry goes bad.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting next couple of weeks. Like I said, I don't think they would fire Topper after this week, even if they lost 5 out of 6 to these bad teams. I think Dombrowski and company will give them chance to turn things around. I mean, I know they've had a long time already, but you come back to the fact that they seem to be a resilient bunch. Otherwise, they still have the 6-game lead, not a 10-game lead anymore, but still a 6-game lead. So I think they would wait to see how they fare against the Braves, Royals, and then Braves again before making any kind of a drastic move like that.
Well, we're going to find out because they got a tough road to go. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. How about that? We got enough of that Phillies talk in. We get that out of our system a little bit. It looks like Schwarber might have hit a bomb here. It looks like 3-2 maybe what the boys are posting. So appreciate that update. Hey, Chet, bunch of great events happening with Philly teams this summer. Hopefully baseball is one of them, and fall. What's going on with the best tailgaters in Philadelphia? Bob Cavanaugh and the gang at Cavs Philly Tailgates.
Bill, Cavs Philly Tailgates has been cooking up a terrific catering business for more than 30 years. Known best for their tailgate parties, Cavs is a 3-time winner of Philly Tailgates Jack Daniel's Great American Tailgate Party Contest and a past winner of the Philly Daily News Tailgate Award. Cavs also does corporate events and parties, you name it. And of course, with football season about to start up, Cav will be hosting tailgates before all of the Birds games at the Link. There's the schedule for the first 4 of those. Check the website, phillytailgates.com, for pricing and more info about these and other upcoming events. And if you have questions, you can email them at cavscatering@verizon.net. Cavs Philly Tailgates is the way to go. Look at that smiling face, Bob Cavanaugh. Too, that Cav works with Vince at Philly Sports Trips. Well, they're the folks to use for Eagles road games and more. And yeah, speaking of those trips, all of the road games will be handled by Philly Sports Trips. I've done trips with those guys before. They are amazing. It all begins with that week-long trip to Sao Paulo, Brazil for the Eagles-Packers season opener in early September. Plus, there are shorter trips to all road games. And Vince and Cav are already working on next spring and the fact that they'll be down in Clearwater twice, including this March 16th to 21st 5-day trip with special guest Jason Worth. Get all the details on that at phillysportstrips.com.
Very good. Hey, Chet, I got the wrong one. Fred checked in. Harper hustle play. Avoids a double play, scores a run from third. That's what we want to see. Good deal, Fred. Appreciate that. Chet, great show. Great guest tonight in Paul Domowitch. Who's coming to Philly Press Box Radio next week?
To be determined, Bill. The funny thing is we have our guests lined up for the 28th and the first part of September, but not sure yet about next week. Still working on that. I'm waiting for a response from an invitee and hoping to get that in the next day or two. But if it happens, it's going to be a good one, I promise you. So stay tuned for that information.
All right. Sounds good. Hey, Chet, we talked last week about Joel Embiid and having ups and downs in the Olympics. That all changed in the semifinals and finals. Your man, Joel, was a huge part of the gold medal success.
Yeah, he played very well in the semifinal game. Not as well in the finale, but they did get the gold, and Joel got the gold medal, so that was nice. And you got to wonder, what that might do for him and his psyche playing with all these great guys. We talked before about Mike Sealski thinking it was good for him because he was around all these other pros, some of whom have been there before at the Olympics. So hopefully some of that will rub off on him. And hopefully this will also have helped him get in a little better shape in August than he typically would. Because, the Sixers have to rely on him and Paul George playing at least 60 or ideally 65 plus games if they're going to, get a real high seed and then make some noise in the postseason. But I think it was good for him. And great to see Team USA winning another gold medal, the men and the women for that matter.
Yeah, it was. And I tell you what kind of stuck out to me, Chet, was the passion that came out of Joel Embiid. We saw more passion in about 6 minutes of the semifinal game than we've seen in 10 years of him on the court in Philadelphia. Maybe that's because he was playing with the people he was playing with. Maybe it's because he was playing for the ultimate goal. Whatever it was, I'll take that Joel Embiid anytime to go with the type of player he is.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see more of that. I think he's excited about Paul George, joining the team as well. So I'm excited to see what happens when you have those two guys plus Tyrese Maxey, who's going to, I think, get better and better as a true big three, one of the best big threes in the league. Then you got to worry about depth. You have your Kelly Oubre's and some of the other guys like Caleb Martin that they picked up in the offseason. I'm not going to get too excited, Bill, because I've gotten beat up in the past by doing that. So I don't want to be disappointed. I'm cautiously optimistic that they will be fun to watch and potentially make a nice playoff run.
Yeah. Well, and back to the Olympics for just a second. I'm not big on individual awards. It's all about that medal that you have in the Olympics. But how could Steph Curry not been the MVP and LeBron James, who played very, very well, be the MVP? Is that just a going away present for LeBron because Steph Curry was just ridiculous?
Yeah, Steph Curry was great. Durant was great. They were a good team, but it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I would have given it to Steph Curry for sure. What he did in those final 3 minutes of the gold medal game, that was amazing. He was just dropping threes from all over the place. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, he was unconscious. Hey, speaking of that, off topic of this just a little bit, I heard this just today on the radio. They were talking about it. I knew about, there is a card a basketball card. It is a 1 of 1. And it is signed by LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant.
Whoa.
And it's apparently still out there. It hasn't been claimed that anybody has opened a pack or whatever and got that card. The packs, what they were talking about on the radio, going for $189 a pack. I don't know how many cards you get in a pack. But supposedly there's a finder's fee that starts at $250,000 for that 1 of 1. So while you're piddling around betting on the Phillies, you might get a couple packs of baseball cards or basketball cards, and maybe you hit the lotto for $250,000 or so. And then don't forget me.
That would be nice. Regarding the Olympics, you watched more than I did, but there were some real highlights. Gymnastics star Simone Biles added to her fame with 4 more medals, and the swimmers, led by another Olympic great in Katie Ledecky, grabbed 8 golds overall. The men's and women's basketball teams, as I said, won their tournaments, both beating France in the finals, both great down to the wire finishes. That French swimmer, Leon Marchand, was amazing. 4 gold medals in individual events, plus really a bronze for his part in a relay event. And Bill, there was also this guy, the French pole vaulter, Anthony Amirati, who missed out on Olympic glory thanks to
you'd have to bring that up.
His manhood. Yeah. His crotch came in contact with the crossbar, eliminating him from the competition. And Bill, the comments on social media did not disappoint. This wouldn't have happened if pole vaulting was a winter sport. It's his gift and his curse. Bringing a second pole to the pole vault should result in a disqualification. Everybody thought Simone Biles was the biggest thing at the Olympics. And see, size does matter.
You had to go here. With all the great athletes doing their thing, you had to pick out the man that cost himself the pole vault.
For the record, that never happened to me when I was pole vaulting, in case anybody was wondering. And as you may have heard, Amirati was offered $250,000, $250,000 from an adult site to show off his goods. Not sure if he responded.
You got the whole follow-up story and everything. You kill me. You're killing me. You can't talk about the sprinters or, Gabby Thomas that graduated from Harvard and Texas. And
we talked about Gabby last week. By the way, Gabby was on one of the late night talk shows last night, and I just love her. She's just so personable, nice looking lady too, and obviously very smart with her education. So Gabby Thomas is a favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. And she, whoa, what happened? Where'd I go?
You're frozen. You're frozen, Bill. Bill is frozen. That's a shame. He's coming back, I hope. Look at that background of mine. Wow. There you are.
They are.
We switched sides. How about that?
How about that? Gabby Thomas, she was special, as were many of the others. Watching the track and field is something I really enjoy. The swimming, I like. The gymnastics, I like. Some others not so much, but seeing the U.S. teams come back and do their thing was really cool.
Hey, Bill, this is not a political comment of any kind, but a former president of ours just this week put out his summer playlist. Just wondering, are any of these songs on your playlist this summer? I bet you'd know at least 2 or 3 of them.
I'm looking.
Come on, there's a Supremes tune in there.
Where I don't see that.
On the far right, near the bottom. Where did our love go?
Bob Dylan's probably okay.
Yeah, I don't know that song by Bob Dylan, though.
Yeah.
Nora Jones, Come Away With Me, a nice slow one from about 15 years ago. That was a good one right at the top left corner. Etta James, Don't Cry Baby, an old classic. I don't know too many of the other ones, although I do know Paul Russell right in the middle. Lil Boo-Tang, Lil Boo-Tang, that's a good one.
But I just have a question, Chet.
Yeah.
Why does anybody care about Barack Obama's summer playlist? Is that
it's just
like where does that show up that you would find that?
He was always a big fan of music. big fan of music. So every year he posts, a summer playlist just in case people like goofballs like me, wonder what he might be listening to.
Do you really wonder? That scares me in its own self.
Look, we had some time to fill, Bill. Okay. What else do you want to throw in here?
You could have thrown a random Chet in there or something, but that was,
I could put the picture of the pole vaulter up again.
Oh, you're killing me.
A little something for the ladies, Bill. A little something for the ladies,
Oh, I hear you. Hey, back to the Eagles for just a second. As we said, with Patriots this week, Vikings next week, and then off week, and then gets ready to go. Did you watch that game last week in Baltimore in the rain? And are you going to watch tomorrow night?
I kind of watched last week. So I was doing something on the computer. I kind of watched it. I did see Jeremiah Trotter Jr. make some plays. Saw Tanner McKee make a few decent throws. Didn't watch overly closely. I'm going to DVR Thursday night's game against the Patriots because, Bill, I will be at the Phillies game. I'll be at the Phillies game getting one of those bucket hats.
Bucket hats.
Yeah,
there
it's
you go.
bucket hat night.
Hey, Paul says Chet wins the MVP story of the night for the segment about the Paul Vaulter. He needs a beer. Hey, Paul, you need a beer. Chet needs a cold shower. So we'll just leave that there.
I'm actually drinking a Gatorade tonight, Bill. Can you believe that?
How come that is?
Getting a little electrolytes into my system.
Uh-huh. All right. Are we done?
Gotta stay fresh.
You got anything else? We're going to wrap this thing up a minute early today.
Yeah, our buddy, this is actually a relative of mine. Where is it? Sean McClary. Where's that Sean McClary comment that I just saw, Bill? Oh, he says, could there be an issue in the Phillies clubhouse?
Absolutely.
And here's the thing. A lot of people are comparing what happened to the Eagles last fall, going from 10-1 to losing 6 out of the last 7 or whatever it was, to what's happening with the Phillies right now, playing so great, best record in baseball by far, to, just falling completely apart. And that's the one thing that is different. We haven't heard anything about any kind of animosity or problems in the clubhouse. So that's one of the big differences there, unless there's something that we don't know about.
Well, on my post that I made today about the Rob Thomson, there were a lot of comments. One of the comments came from pretty respected clubhouse guy, Chris Tarian, who knows a little bit about locker rooms. He said it.
Yeah, he said chemistry. You're right. Yeah,
chemistry.
Could be.
Yeah, and that goes back to my Merrifield comment. You break up the chemistry, you move people around, you do things. I'm going to pick on a guy that I have no reason to pick on, but if you're Bryson Stott and you're hitting 230 and you are not playing good baseball and you can't shake it, you might be cranky.
Yeah.
There could be a little something. And, speaking of that, I also had on my notes to ask Damo, and I decided not to, because it would have been my last question. I was going to follow up with him about that article, not by him, that came out about what happened in the Eagles locker room, and just get his take from a guy who's been in locker rooms for 30 or 40 years. Just get his take on a story like that, and whether it brings merit or, whatever. But I ended up just deciding not to do that as the last question.
Okay.
So,
all right, Bill, wrap it up. Let's go.
Do it. Let's thank tonight's special guest, Paul Domowitch, our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs, Philly Tailgates, and PPCC 118 Raz Room. For Jim, Chet, Jesco, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll join Philly Press Box Radio next Wednesday, August the 21st at 7 p.m. You can see us live on Facebook, on our Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel, and listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadios, and all the other. Phils are down 5-2, Chet. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans, and let's go Phillies.
And Eagles.
Let's do the song. Come on.